Have you ever wondered why so many older adults wake up at 3 a.m. and can't seem to fall back asleep? You might lie there in the quiet darkness, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's going on with your body or mind. The truth is, this is more common than you might think, and it's not just a random habit or simply a result of getting older. In this video, we're exploring 5 powerful reasons why people tend to wake up around 3 a.m. as they age, and what these early morning wake-ups could be trying to tell you. Each reason reveals something deeper about your body, your health, and your life experience. By the end of this video, you might see your sleep in a whole new light. These aren't just surface-level explanations either. They're rooted in real physiology, psychology, and the rhythms of aging that many people aren't even. We'll discuss changes in hormones, sleep patterns, health challenges, and even emotional and social influences that could be quietly working behind the scenes. We'll do it in an honest, empowering, and respectful way that honors the life you've lived so far. So, if you've ever found yourself waking up around 3 a.m. and asking why, you're in the right place. Stay tuned until the end, because what you learn here might not only help you sleep better, but it could also help you understand and appreciate what your body is going through. Let's get started. Number 1. Reduced melatonin production. One of the main reasons older adults often wake up in the middle of the night, especially around 3 a.m., is the natural decline in melatonin production as we age. Melatonin is the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle, often referred to as the body's internal clock. It plays a key role in helping you fall asleep and stay asleep. When you were younger, your body likely produced a strong, steady amount of melatonin each night, allowing you to enjoy long, uninterrupted sleep. But as you age, your body's melatonin production starts to decrease, which can make it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep through the night. As the years go by, your body starts to produce less melatonin, which can have a real impact on the quality of your sleep. When you were younger, you likely enjoyed long stretches of deep, uninterrupted rest. But as melatonin production declines, it becomes harder to stay asleep. You might still fall asleep easily at night, especially if you've had a full day or a relaxing evening. But by the early hours, around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or even 4 a.m., your melatonin levels can dip too low to keep you in a restful state. You might wake up not because of a noise or a dream, but because your brain is naturally shifting toward wakefulness, and without enough melatonin, it becomes harder to stay asleep. This isn't something you're doing wrong, nor does it mean your body is failing. It simply means your internal chemistry is changing with age. Additionally, the bedroom environment can make this issue worse. Even small amounts of light, such as a street lamp outside the window, a blinking clock on the nightstand, or a hallway light under the door, can suppress melatonin further. As you age, your body becomes more sensitive to these environmental triggers, making that 3 a.m. wake-up even more frustrating. Take Harold, for example, who is now 72 and has always considered himself a good sleeper. Lately, though, he finds himself wide awake around 3:15 a.m. most nights. He doesn't feel anxious or upset. He just feels fully alert, as if it's time to start the day. Once Harold understood that this wasn't a failure on his part, but rather a normal part of aging due to reduced melatonin, he stopped blaming himself and started adjusting his habits. He now keeps his bedroom darker, avoids screens an hour before bed, and takes a brief evening walk to reinforce his natural circadian rhythm. These small changes help signal to his body that it's still nighttime. While he still wakes up early sometimes, he's learned to work with his body instead of against it. This kind of understanding can be a game changer. When you realize that waking up early might not be your fault but simply a natural chemical shift, you can take steps to support your sleep instead of resenting your body. That's the power of awareness. It turns frustration into compassion and helps you make smarter choices about how you care for yourself at night. Number 2. Shifted sleep cycle and advanced sleep phase. Another significant reason older adults tend to wake up around 3 a.m. is due to a natural shift in the body's internal clock, a phenomenon known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythms tend to shift forward, meaning we start to feel sleepy earlier in the evening. You might notice yourself waking up earlier in the morning as you get older. Perhaps you find yourself nodding off during a late-night movie or waking up at dawn without an alarm, even on days when you'd love to sleep longer. This shift isn't just about habit, it's deeply rooted in biology, and it often becomes more pronounced as the years go by. When you were younger, your body's rhythm was often aligned with a later bedtime and a wake-up time more in sync with the sun. But as we age, this rhythm tends to shift forward, meaning we start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening. You might even fall asleep at 9 p.m. or earlier without intending to, which means your body has already completed its full sleep cycle by the time 3 a.m. rolls around. That's why you might find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, feeling as though your rest is complete, even though it's still pitch dark outside. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It simply means your body is operating on a different schedule. Think of it like a clock that's been gently reset over the years, ticking ahead just a little more each season. While this shift isn't harmful, it can be frustrating if your lifestyle, family routine, or personal preferences don't align with this new rhythm. There's also a quiet psychological aspect to this change. Many older adults live in quieter households or spend more time alone, and that peaceful environment can amplify the body's signals to wind down earlier. Without the constant activity or noise that might have once delayed bedtime, your system begins its nightly shutdown process much sooner. And if you're no longer working full-time or following a strict daily routine, the lack of external time cues, like meetings, commutes, or social gatherings, can make this internal shift even stronger. Take someone like Charles, for example, who's 68 and retired. He often eats dinner around 5:30 p.m. and watches TV for an hour before heading to bed. By 9 p.m. he's asleep, and by 3 a.m. his body is naturally ready to wake up. At first he thought it was insomnia, but once he learned about advanced sleep phase, he realized his sleep wasn't broken, it was simply rescheduled. Charles started adjusting his evening routine to stay up a little longer. He began reading a book with a warm light, taking a gentle walk after dinner, and occasionally calling his daughter for a quick chat before bed. These small social and sensory cues helped stretch his sleep window just enough to shift his wake-up time closer to the morning. The result? Fewer 3 a.m. wake-ups and a deeper sense of alignment with his daily life. This natural shift in sleep cycle is something many older adults experience, but few talk about. Understanding it can relieve a lot of guilt or frustration and help you adjust to your body's new rhythm. Confusion can arise when you don't understand why you're waking up around 3 a.m., but knowing that it may simply be your body adjusting to a new rhythm can offer a more compassionate way to work with it instead of fighting against it. So if you find yourself waking up at 3 a.m., feeling like you've had a full night's sleep, it could mean your body is just on an earlier schedule now. Once you know this, you can begin adjusting your routine in ways that better support your well-being. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Physical discomfort and health-related interruptions. Another common reason older adults wake up around 3 a.m. is the body's response to physical discomfort or underlying health issues that often surface during the quiet hours of the night. As we age, the chances of dealing with chronic conditions or subtle health problems increase, and many of these issues can disrupt sleep without any loud alarm. They creep in quietly, like a sore joint, a full bladder, or a sudden twinge in the back, and that's often enough to pull you out of a restful sleep in the middle of the night. Conditions like arthritis, for example, can make lying in the same position for hours uncomfortable. You may not feel the discomfort when you first fall asleep, but after several hours of stillness, those aches can build up enough to wake you. For others, nighttime acid reflux may stir them from sleep, especially if they've eaten dinner too late or reclined too soon after eating. Even something as seemingly simple as dry mouth, muscle cramps, or a slight change in room temperature can trigger a light awakening. In the early morning hours, when your body's defenses are already more sensitive and less forgiving than they used to be. One of the most common physical reasons older adults wake up at 3 a.m. is the need to urinate. As we age, the bladder becomes less elastic, and the urge to relieve it can come on faster and more frequently. You might not feel the need during the day when your mind is distracted, but at 3 a.m., in a dark and quiet room, that sensation becomes impossible to ignore. Once you get up, even if it's just to go to the bathroom, your body may have already shifted from deep rest to a lighter, more alert state. This alertness makes it harder to return to sleep. There's also the issue of medications, which many older adults take regularly for blood pressure, heart health, or pain management. These medications often come with side effects, such as frequent urination, changes in body temperature, or increased sensitivity to noise or light, all of which can silently affect your sleep. You may not even realize that your medication is impacting your sleep pattern until someone points it out, or you start tracking your habits more closely. Take Eleanor, for example, a 76-year-old woman who has always been a relatively light sleeper. Over the past year, she began waking up consistently around 3:30 a.m. After months of thinking it was just part of aging, she spoke with her doctor and discovered that one of her medications was affecting her hydration levels and causing more nighttime trips to the bathroom. With her doctor's help, she adjusted the timing of her medication, made a few lifestyle changes, and now wakes up less frequently and returns to sleep more easily when she does. The important thing to remember here is that physical wake-ups don't mean your body is failing. They're actually signs that your body is still doing its job. responding, alerting, and adjusting. These signals can guide you toward better care, more informed choices, and a deeper sense of trust in your own awareness. Waking up at 3 a.m. may feel like an inconvenience, but it can also be a quiet reminder to check in with your body, make small changes, and support better health and deeper rest. Number 4. Lifestyle habits that shift your sleep rhythm. Another powerful but often overlooked reason older adults wake up at 3 a.m. is due to long-standing daily habits, small routines, and choices that over time quietly reshape your internal rhythm. Many older adults naturally start eating dinner earlier, winding down sooner in the evening, and engaging in less physical activity during the day. These seemingly minor adjustments to your lifestyle can have a big impact on your sleep patterns. Over time, these changes can accumulate and signal to the body that the night should begin earlier, which inevitably pushes the wake-up time earlier too. When your days become quieter, especially after retirement, your body no longer receives the same external cues it once relied on, such as commuting, running errands, or engaging in physically or mentally stimulating tasks. Without those cues, your body's sleep-wake cycle may begin to drift forward. A calm, dimly lit evening with minimal stimulation can cause your brain to produce melatonin earlier, inviting sleep before you even realize the clock has struck 9 p.m. Once you're asleep earlier, your body simply completes its rest earlier, waking up in the still pre-dawn hours, often around 3 a.m. There's also a subtle relationship between food timing and sleep quality. Eating dinner early, while generally healthy, can sometimes lead to a dip in blood sugar levels overnight, especially if you don't have a light snack before bed. That dip may not feel like hunger, but it can still wake the body from sleep. Similarly, caffeine consumed even in the early afternoon can linger in your system, especially as your metabolism slows with age, subtly lightening your sleep and making you more vulnerable to waking up at the slightest disturbance. Take Walter, for example, a 74-year-old man who recently retired. These changes crept in gradually. His days became less structured, and his evenings more relaxed. He found himself having supper at 5 p.m., falling asleep in his recliner during the evening news, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. most nights. Without realizing it, his entire routine had shifted a few hours earlier. Before long, he started waking up around 3 a.m., puzzled by why he was wide awake before the birds even started singing. After reflecting on his routine, Walter began making small adjustments, adding a short walk in the afternoon, reading in brighter light during the evening, and avoiding naps after dinner. These changes helped push his natural sleep window just a bit later, allowing his body to settle into a rhythm that aligned more closely with his ideal wake-up time. What's remarkable is how often we overlook the power of routine. Our bodies crave rhythm, daily patterns that act like signals telling the brain when it's time to rest and when it's time to rise. As those signals weaken or shift, the internal body clock can lose its bearings, leading to earlier and more fragmented sleep. But by noticing these patterns and making thoughtful adjustments, it's possible to gently guide the body back to a sleep cycle that feels more restorative and less disrupted. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. Emotional and social influence. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with your body and more to do with your mind. As we get older, emotional layers that were once buried by the busyness of daily life can begin to surface in the quiet of the night. The early morning hours, when the world is still and distractions are few, often become the stage for unspoken worries, regrets, or longings. You may find yourself lying awake not because of noise or pain, but because your mind is quietly sorting through memories, unresolved thoughts, or subtle anxieties you didn't realize were still with you. This kind of restlessness is different from the full-blown anxiety that might affect younger people. It's quieter, more reflective, and can feel like a soft hum in the background, a sense that something is unsettled, even if you can't quite name it. When the mind isn't actively engaged, it often reaches back into old relationships, past decisions, losses endured, or words left unsaid. And since your body isn't rushing from one responsibility to another, there's space for those thoughts to echo a little louder. Loneliness can also play a role. For many older adults, social circles shrink over time. Children move away, friends get busy, and routines change. The daytime might be filled with light and activity, but nighttime brings quiet, and with it, an awareness of that emotional gap. This kind of loneliness doesn't always feel heavy. Sometimes it shows up simply as a desire for connection, or a faint ache for someone to talk to when the house is still. Consider Gloria, for example, who is 80 and widowed. During the day, she keeps busy tending to her garden, calling her grandchildren, and watching her favorite shows. But around 3 a.m., she often wakes up, her thoughts returning to moments she shared with her late husband or to worries she keeps tucked away during the daylight hours. At first, she thought something was wrong with her sleep, but over time she came to understand that her early waking wasn't about sleep at all. It was her heart asking to be heard. To support herself, Gloria started keeping a small journal by her bed. When she wakes up, she sometimes writes down whatever's on her mind. Nothing fancy, just a few honest thoughts. She also added a quiet evening ritual, like listening to soft music or writing a short note to a friend. These little acts of reflection and connection gave her emotions a gentle outlet, easing her mind and helping her return to sleep more peacefully. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It remembers what it wants to remember, asks the questions it needs to ask, and sometimes does all this at 3 a.m. when everything else is quiet. But that's not a flaw, that's a sign of depth. If you find yourself waking up and feeling reflective, it might mean you're carrying wisdom that's ready to be acknowledged. You've lived through joys and heartbreaks, and those experiences shape not just your memories, but your very sense of self. Rather than seeing these wake-ups as something to fix, try approaching them with curiosity and kindness. What is your mind trying to tell you? What do you need to give voice to? What part of you needs a little grace, even in the dark? Sometimes the most meaningful kind of rest comes not from ignoring these moments, but from honoring them. By doing so, you may find not only better sleep, but also a richer understanding of yourself at this stage of life. Final thoughts as we wrap up this video. Take a quiet moment to reflect on what you've just heard. What resonated with you the most? Was it the shift in your internal clock, the subtle changes in your health, or perhaps something deeper, an emotional rhythm that only shows itself when the world is still? Each of these 5 reasons offers a different perspective on your early morning wake-ups, and none of them point to something wrong or broken. In fact, they each reveal how deeply your body and mind are still working, still responding, and still adapting as you move through this stage of life. There's a quiet power in understanding what your body is trying to say, especially during those soft hours before dawn. Instead of seeing 3 a.m. wake-ups as a nuisance, you might begin to see them as messages, gentle signals reminding you to listen more closely to your needs, your habits, and your heart. You're not alone in this experience, and you're certainly not the only one searching for answers. But with insight comes strength, and with strength comes the freedom to make small, meaningful changes that support better rest, deeper comfort, and a stronger connection to your own rhythms. If you've recognized yourself in any of these reasons today, know that you're not just aging, you're evolving. And with that evolution comes a chance to rest more intentionally, care for yourself more gently, and greet each morning with a little more understanding and peace. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.